The following program on KROC is sponsored and paid for by Meshbesher and Spence.
Zach Bauer is in the house this morning from
Political junkie.
That's right.
Yeah, something like that.
Stayed up late and then deciphered and wrote down everything that happened in the debate last night.
Break it down for us.
Yeah, I don't know about that. By the way, my mom loved Kenny Rogers.
She was a big Kenny Rogers fan?
Huge Kenny Rogers.
Now, back in the first edition?
Oh, yeah, the very beginning.
Okay.
No one to hold him, no one to fold him.
Well, that was the post-first edition space. But anyway, yeah, he's very good. I'd go see him.
Yeah, 14th Amendment. Came up a ton last night in the debate, both on topics of immigration as well as topics about abortion and the rights of fetuses. And it's something that you're going to continue to hear a lot of conversation about, not only, I think, on the Republican side of things, but also on the Democratic side of things.
So the 14th Amendment is?
So the 14th Amendment was ratified back in 1868. It was really done in response to the end of slavery. So a lot of what we learned from the 14th Amendment has changed over time, as obviously society has changed over time. But generally speaking, it was done to make sure everybody had equal rights, equal protections underneath the laws, and not only underneath federal laws, but underneath state laws. Because in that situation, obviously, the South was not giving some equal protections to slaves. There was also a citizenship clause, which has come up last night in great detail, that was done in response to giving slaves citizenship. So those are two topics that obviously will continue to come up, but we're talking about, the 14th Amendment is nearly 150 years old. So it obviously wasn't written in response to what we're dealing with now. There's been, obviously, Roe versus Wade comes out of the 14th Amendment. The Obergefell versus Hodges case when it comes to gay marriage came out of the 14th Amendment. So we're talking about a very vague, actually just one section, actually 5 sections of the 14th Amendment. The first section is the one that gets kind of all the press. So it will be a topic that continues to come up. The immigration aspect of things last night was actually somewhat interesting in the sense that Ron Paul, who whether you like him or not, got it kind of right in the sense that we really have not dealt with the 14th Amendment and the citizenship clause when it comes to people that are here illegally. We've always dealt with it in the process of, well, these were slaves that were brought over here, and they didn't come here illegally. They came here basically against their will.
Yeah, exactly.
And so the idea was, if you are here, living here, residing here, and naturalized or here legally, even though it really wasn't stated that way, we're going to give you citizenship, both in the United States as well as your states. So how do we deal with that now when it comes to immigration and people that are here illegally? It will be an interesting topic. I don't necessarily think that we're talking about denying citizenship for those people that came here illegally. I think that would be a stretch from my standpoint, but it's not really something that's been litigated. But given what the court is right now, the United States Supreme Court is, I would find it very odd if all of a sudden they would reverse course.
I've thought that when it comes to the anchor baby part of it, which I think Donald Trump has kind of glommed on and made it have to do with people coming from Central America, but the first time I ever heard it was from the Chinese mothers that were coming here and having anchor babies.
Right.
That's one of the first times I thought that should have maybe be a little bit easier to say this is illegal, you can't do this anymore, because the Central American refugees, whether they're coming from Mexico or wherever, are coming in by foot. These people are flying here, getting the house, having the baby, getting the citizenship, and then going back to China.
Right.
So I would think that would be one of the first steps that they might take. Did they mention that last night?
There was conversation.
Doesn't seem like it would be that difficult a thing to do.
Well, yeah.
But it's the way the rule is set up that you can.
And I think the issue really boils down to how long it will take for us to get an answer.
Right.
Anytime you're dealing with litigation, and specifically, for instance, the legislature may change things in those individual states. There will be certainly lawsuits that will stem from that will eventually kind of make its way through the court system up to the United States Supreme Court. The other option would be if our Congress were to change kind of the 14th Amendment, it would take a major shift for that to occur.
Yeah.
You're talking about a 2/3 majority, so it would be tremendous if that would happen.
I guess changing an amendment is a little more difficult than changing, say, opening or closing times for liquor stores.
Absolutely. So it's much more difficult. And like I said, I think it's they're interesting topics. the abortion topic and how we look at fetuses and how we deal with that when it comes to women's rights has been not a new issue. This has been going on since the 1970s. I likewise think that would take a tremendous shift for us to move things. But as you know, the 14th Amendment never really talks specifically about allowing people of different races to marry. The 14th Amendment never really talked about allowing 2 men or 2 women to marry. But the society over a period of time, I think, moved us to a point where, hey, this falls underneath the 14th Amendment. So I don't think I can ever tell you specifically that we're not going to get to that point where we have fetus rights. But boy, it seems like that would be a difficult task to undertake right now.
Yeah. If anybody has questions, needs an attorney, need somebody like, say, Zach Bauer.
Yeah.
How do they get in touch with you?
Get a hold of us locally at 507-280-8090 or www.meshbesher.com.
All right. Zach Bauer from Meshbesher and Spence.
Thanks, guys.